All right. Now, we've talked about the person who says, I don't perceive myself as devoid of worth. Let's talk to the person who says, I don't feel negatively about my feelings. Not recognizing that you see your feelings as inherently irrelevant and shameful, devoid of worth, is not the same as not seeing your feelings as inherently irrelevant and shameful. Did you catch that? Not recognizing that that's how you view them is not the same as saying that that's not how you view them. So I understand many may believe that they have a perfectly healthy opinion of feelings. I felt that I once believed the same way. But eventually I had an awakening to the reality of the matter. That was an epiphany I had early on in my recovery that allowed me to get from there to here, was that at some point I had to see things that were right under my nose my entire life, but that I was not even aware of. I didn't even know that about myself, that I viewed certain things in certain ways. So it's not my responsibility to convince everybody that their foundation beliefs are distorted. That task falls to each individual in the work that they're doing for themselves. But I can say the following unequivocally. If you have the symptoms reflective of these underlying unhealthy beliefs that we're talking about, if you have the symptoms of those beliefs, then you live with those beliefs. There's no other possibility. It doesn't matter whether you recognize that you live with those beliefs or not. Your attitudes, your behaviors, your actions, the way you interact with the world is proof positive of it. In other words, our thoughts, behaviors, feelings, reactions, all these things are always perfectly reflective of our foundation perspectives, our underlying belief system. Therefore, if the way they manifest reflects emotionally unhealthy underlying attitudes and belief system, that's really the unhealthy attitudes and belief system you live with. If you lived with healthy, accurate attitudes and you had an emotionally healthy belief system, well, then all of your thoughts, behaviors, feelings, and reactions would be undeniable evidence of it. It's a mirror. We're talking about a mirror here. Whatever you see in the mirror, whatever's being reflected back to you, it's reflecting exactly what your real attitudes are. That's what your behaviors, your actions, your thoughts, the way you interpret the world around you, and those sorts of things, the way you interact with the world around you. It's all a perfect reflection of whatever your true underlying attitudes are. They never contradict each other because it's a mirror. You never get into a perfectly good mirror and look at yourself and go, no, that's not how I look. That's not how I look at all. My hair's not brown. My face don't look like that. I look like Robert Redford. And the guy I'm looking at here in the mirror doesn't look like anything like Robert Redford. This mirror is lying to me. You never say that because you know that whatever's being reflected back to you, it's a perfect representation, right? Well, that's our thoughts, behaviors, feelings, and reactions. They are a perfect reflection of what our true underlying belief system and attitudes are. And I call that the law of genuine attitude reflection. If you take the Last Symptom Fundamentals course, that 2-week intensive course I was telling you about, I think, quite a bit about the law of genuine attitude reflection. And basically it goes like this. The way you naturally behave around a thing cannot contradict what the true underlying attitude is that you live with in relation to that thing. So, for example, bees. Have you ever seen anybody who was allergic to bees? I have. Years ago, I was driving to a nearby town, and as I was coming into that town, so I was coming out of the country and into that town, I saw a guy painting. He was up on a ladder painting a house, way up on top of this ladder. And all of a sudden, he started waving his hands, and he jumped from the top of that ladder all the way down, boom, hits the ground, went rolling across the ground, jumps up, crazy, same thing, swatting his hands all through the air and everything. So I pulled over. I thought the guy was having a stroke or something. I really thought he was having like a medical emergency. And I guess he kind of was. But I pulled over. I said, hey, buddy, you all right? He screamed at me, I'm allergic to bees. There's bees. I'm allergic to bees. And he just went running through the yard. He said that, and then he just disappeared. He went running off. I was going to let him into the car, but he didn't stick around. He just took off. I'm allergic to bees. Clearly, his behaviors and actions revealed an absolute truth about what his underlying attitudes and beliefs are about bee stings. Right? Would we have seen him leap off of a 2-story tall ladder, roll on the ground, and act ridiculous in public like that if his belief system was that there's nothing to worry about with bees? Oh, I'll get stung a few times, but I'll be all right. No, clearly that was not the belief system that he lived with. You know, when I saw him, he wasn't twirling around laughing with his arm outstretched like the Sound of Music, you know. The guy was in a panic. And that's the law of genuine attitude reflection. It doesn't work any differently when you see how people treat themselves, you know, right? If you see people treat themselves terribly, don't take care of themselves, they don't look out for their own best interests, they neglect themselves, things like that, and then they say, oh, no, I love myself. No, I don't like myself. No, you don't. No, you don't, because the law of genuine attitude reflection. If you did love yourself, we would see the exact opposite of what we do see. You would be taking care of yourself. You would not be neglecting yourself. That's what a person who truly does love himself or herself, that's the way they behave naturally.
Orange Slices are brief highlights from the Last Symptom podcast. Subscribe to full audio episodes of the show on any major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Amazon Music, and more. While I've got you chewing on that, like this video, pretty please. Might as well press subscribe while you're at it. I bet you a nickel you know somebody who's overdue for hearing some of these things, so go on, forward this video to them.